Hello, I'm Rebecca Chaplin and I'm proud to be presenting Motors.co.uk's new series, Live More Moments, a series where our amazing guests share with us their car moments, memories from their first motor, nostalgic childhood road trips, and the must-haves to their existing or future cars to enable them to live more. In our first series, we are chatting to some inspirational women of the automotive industry here in the UK. This month, we celebrate one of the most important days of the year, International Women's Day, whose theme this year is Break the Bias, championing for a world free of bias, stereotypes and discrimination. So let's chat with some of the women breaking the bias in the automotive industry. My guest today has held senior roles in dealerships and now works as franchise director for car dealer Marshall Motor Group, looking after the Honda, Volvo and LEVC brands. She's run dealerships as general manager across a wide range of brands and now is responsible for a huge number of people within the group. Please welcome my guest today, Carole Merry. Lovely to have you here today, Carole. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm very, very grateful to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Wonderful. So you have had a fantastic career working for a couple of different dealer groups, different brands. Can we start at the beginning? How did you actually get into working in dealerships?
Entirely by accident, which is always the most fun way. We literally had moved up here. So I actually trained with the Royal Ballet. So a completely different background. And when we moved up from London after my husband had finished his PhD, I literally had no clue what I was going to do. But I'd done some work with the Arts Council from a marketing perspective at a very, very basic level. And my first role was actually with Arriva as a marketing coordinator. So really, really random, and certainly did not expect the career that I've had today. But that's the brilliant thing about the industry, isn't it? Is that you can graft, you can work hard, and there are lots and lots of options available to you.
That's going to lead on nicely to my next question. What do you love about working in the car industry?
People. Every day is entirely different. I'm fortunate enough to be in and out of many of my 18 different businesses on a regular basis, which means that at any given time I'm going to be interacting potentially with customers or a wide range of colleagues. I've got over 400 that work in my division. So there's never a kind of standard day for me. It's entirely down to what's going on in the business from one day to the next. And I love being on my toes. I love being in the mix. It just never gets tiring. You never get bored of it.
And I'm sure there's a few people watching this who might not know what a franchise director actually is. So do you mind explaining what your job actually entails?
Gosh. So ultimately, I'm responsible for all 18 of my businesses. So each of the general managers in the business reports directly into me. A GM is responsible very much for that side-to-side data management, but I'm responsible for everything that goes on either compliance-wise, health and safety, operational performance, and probably most importantly, the relationship with the brands. So I'm the custodian of the brands that I represent, and it's my job to make sure that we have a good relationship and that we are representing them as they'd expect us to.
Brilliant. And did you, as we're talking about International Women's Day, did you ever find it challenging as a woman working in the car industry?
Yes, at the beginning. I've been in the industry for over 20 years, and I think it's fair to say quite a lot has changed in that time. But I've also, whilst it's been challenging, particularly in the early days, my first sales manager role was an interesting role. I worked in a Jaguar business, and I think I was probably a third of the age of most of the guys that I was managing. I'd come up through the ranks in the business and had to really, really have thick skin and knuckle down in order to make a success of that. But I also think that I'm fortunate because I'm different. I have a different perspective. I've never worked with female franchise directors before. So I think it gives you a different voice. And once you've got the respect of your colleagues, that can be really important in the conversation as well. So yeah, there were some awkward days in my early career, but both with Inchcape and Marshall, there have definitely been companies that it really kind of doesn't matter what gender you are. They're very diverse, they're very inclusive, and if you work hard and you're good at your job, then they recognise that.
What would be your advice to women wanting to start a career working in a car dealership or maybe in management?
Go for it. We're still underrepresented, so it was a fantastic opportunity. It really suits our skills generally in terms of effective communication. I think for me, it's important to be authentic, to put yourself forward, and go for the opportunity. People just have no clue how many different roles there are in this industry. Everyone assumes that you have to be a car salesperson or a technician. And far from it now. We've got people representing disciplines and many opportunities all across the company. So yeah, absolutely go for it. You won't look back.
So you've worked with a lot of brands over the years, so I'm sure that you have, there's been lots of cars that you've got to try, but what do you drive personally?
I drive a Volvo XC60 Recharge. It's a Polestar edition, so it's got a little bit of a kick, but for me, it gives me a sense of that kind of responsibility because it's a hybrid, plug-in hybrid. But I don't have any range anxiety because I know that I can switch over. I do a lot of miles every year all over the UK. Got sites from Scarborough down to Reading. So it is important to me that I know that whatever happens, I can get where I need to be. As I said, it's my safe place, my car.
What's your advice when someone asks you what car they should buy? I'm sure you get that from people all the time.
I do, but generally, I think that people don't actually really want to know that. I think nowadays our consumers are so informed; they have a pretty good idea what it is that they want to buy before they even have a conversation with us. With friends and family, I try not to get involved because whatever I do is wrong. I learned that very early on. Try not to sell them cars if you can possibly help it. But consumers know what they want nowadays. They know their own mind. They've done the research before they make that inquiry generally. And I think it's more about kind of building rapport and just picking up on those kind of key benefits that are really important to our customers. So yes, try not to give advice, but listen very carefully and provide them with giving the customers what they want from a benefit perspective, what they need, then that's the right thing to do.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us today. It's been really interesting to find out about your career and what you're driving as well.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Well, what an amazing career Carole's had. Lovely to hear about that today. And thank you to everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this series so far. And remember, a new episode will be launching every Tuesday throughout March. I'm Rebecca Chaplin, and thank you for watching this episode of Motors.co.uk Live More Moments, Women Powering the Automotive Industry. And goodbye.